So as I was saying, the SMEs have 8% in the gross profit of the country, and the informal SMEs will work without one of those three requirements. Remember, the requirements are for a formal SME, you would have to pay the caja contributions, you would have to pay for the insurance, riesgos de seguro del trabajador, and you would have to pay minimum wages. Those are the formal, and not only formal SMEs, formal companies in general. Okay? Informal companies and informal SMEs would lack one, two, or three of them. Okay? Would not have all of them. Normally, during this pandemic season, what we have is a lot of informal SMEs that do not pay. I mean, they're barely existing. They cannot pay for, oh, and the fourth one, taxes. Very important. One, caja. Two, INS. Three, minimum wages. And four, taxes. Ministerio de Hacienda taxes. So the informal ones are struggling to be able to make money for a living. So hardly they are going to make money to pay la caja, INS, Hacienda, and minimum wages. Okay? The informal business now is growing more because of the necessity to find money to bring home and feed your family. Okay? So these numbers that I found from Procomer are before the pandemic season. Now, I'm sure the numbers are bigger, but not all of them are formal. Most of them are informal. Okay. They provide the largest share of employment after agriculture. Mhm. Remember, our country is based on agriculture mainly, and regrettably, it's actually decreasing. Agriculture is now decreasing, and we are purchasing more from other countries. The SMEs have emerged as a dynamic and vibrant sector of economy. Mhm. They are widely dispersed across the country and produce a diverse range of product and services. I missed the S. Product and services. All SMEs produce different things. Now you can find face masks created by people at their houses. Now you can find people who actually deliver to your house. Correos de Costa Rica has increased a lot of products being sent from one place of the country to another one because you require a product. And since we are from home, we're not actually going to stores, right? So whoever is online selling stuff is using Correos de Costa Rica more in order to send packages. The SMEs also help in the growth of a country, right? They are the nursery for entrepreneurship and innovation. The people start learning how to manage a company by managing their own. They learn from mistakes. They go little by little, and it's a nursery, it's called. Un nido de emprendedores. It's like they're learning to become managers in the future. Okay? Now we'll talk about a little about history, the emergence of medium and small companies, MSME. Okay? Despite numerous protection and policy measures, manufacturing SMEs, remember that manufacturing are the companies that produce in scale, they produce products. It's not a service. They actually fabricate products, okay? The manufacturing SMEs have remained mostly small and technologically behind. It's hard for a company to improve the quality of their machines if they're barely making a living. Hmm? I know a case of a company located in Parque Industrial in Cartago. The owner is it's a friend. He's a man from the United States. He used to work for the Ford company. So he learned how to create parts of cars and how to create repairs for cars, and he started learning how to use these machines, right? Okay, so this car requires, I don't know, and I really don't know the names of the parts of the car. Let's say it requires a, I don't know, a brake pedal. Okay, so this car requires a brake pedal. You go to the regular stores, you try and find a brake pedal, but it's non-existent. They won't bring it to the country because it's discontinued, either discontinued or too expensive. So you cannot buy it. He realized there is a market for car parts that the agency no longer distributes, that the headquarters no longer creates, and the only way for you to get it is either finding a graveyard of cars. Do you know what a graveyard of cars is? You may reply, remember, my voice is the only one that will be recorded. A graveyard of cars, do you know what that is? Exactly. Thank you, Chris. Yes, it's un cementerio de carros. You go there, and the people who buy them, they buy them very cheap because the idea is to sell their parts, not the car anymore, for whatever reasons, right? So either you find a cemetery, a graveyard of cars, or you find someone who creates the specific part you're looking for. So he found a niche in the market, un nicho en el mercado. And he came to Costa Rica, where labor is cheaper. He brought all his knowledge. He knows how to do stuff. He brought all his knowledge and he brought machines. Some of them brought from the US, some of them manufactured here, and he is creating car parts. Car parts, brand new. He knows he has a certain amount of people finding out exactly what car parts to create. So let's say, for example, there is un engranaje de una puerta trasera that it's very hard to find, but it's always faulty. Always. Siempre falla. All the time. But it's very hard to find. So he will get money from that, right? And he creates it. And there are people who come to his store to buy those parts because he will create it for you. So you may find a mechanic that will tell you, I have someone, and that someone will be my friend because they know they go to the factory and they get it brand new, nada usado. They will create it. You know that in Cobao we also have some machines that create 3D objects that are required. Basically, that's the technology. He finds out what car parts are needed the most. He creates some, he has them in stock, and then he sells them brand new. He makes a design, the machine makes it, he sells it. So it's a big deal, right? It's a big business, but not all the companies have access to that type of technology. Okay? And the ones who have an idea on how to make it work, not necessarily have the means, the amount of money required to buy those machines. So most of them are technologically behind. Now, let's take a look at what is an SME. Usually I would make you read, but since the video will only record my voice, I'm going to read it all. I'm going to make a small pause to drink some water, okay? Give me 1 second. Thank you. Now, there are two categories. The way to understand this chart is this. There are two categories. Manufacturing, you create a product, or services. And in services, I also put other sectors because tourism, for example, is also one of those sectors. It's not necessarily a service because tourism involves food, lodging, traveling. You see that there are many services included into one, so services and others. In the manufacturing and services, there are two types. Well, there are more, but we're going to start first the small ones. So there are small and there are medium. Okay. Now let's take a look on the sizes. in order to know whether it's a small or it's a medium company. For small companies, we're talking about sales turnover from 300,000 to less than 15 millions. Okay? We're talking about money here. Or full-time employees from 5 to less than 75. Okay? Also, here in Costa Rica, we have the division micro. We also have some micro companies that are one, two, three. It's a family business. Okay? They also apply as SME. Procomer would receive them as well because it's a micro company. It's a very small one. The medium would go after 75, from 75, but the maximum will be around 200. And we're talking about full-time employees. If they have less than, I don't know, less than 200, but they're, well, not medium, less than 75, but they're not full-time, they don't really count as one. You see what I mean? Full-time employees from 5 to 75. Then we're talking about a small company. If we're talking about 6 people, but those 6 people work half time, that's pretty much like three, right? So that will be a micro. You have to be very careful with the numbers in this case in order to classify them as small or medium. Now that's for manufacturing because services require less people. Why do services require less people? Because you're not producing a product. If you are producing a product, you require people to handle the machine, people to package, people to distribute, people to drive the car, people to sell. You see, a product involves many more steps in order to finish. But services, it's easier. That's why in Costa Rica there are more service companies than manufacturing companies because of the complexity. Okay? In services, we have sales turnover from 300,000 to less than 3 million colones, or, which is more common, full-time employees from 5 to 30. Mhm. The medium will go from 30 to 75 approximately. So if you see the numbers, a small manufacturing company would have a maximum of 75, but a medium service company will go from 30 to 75. You see how numbers change? Because it's different. A service company with 75 employees is huge. I repeat, a service company with 75 employees, it's a medium, it's huge. Imagine what service company has 70 people working full time. That's a huge company. Service, right? But if we're talking about manufacturing, 70 people is just regular number for a manufacturing because you need the security officers, the secretaries, the ones in bodega, the warehouse. You need a lot of people. So that's why the numbers change. Okay. Questions up to here? Nope. Okay. Gabo, if someone raises their hand, can you please let me know? Because I'm watching the full screen with my PowerPoint. I'm not seeing the members. So please be careful if someone raises their hand. Just let me know. So I'll give them the thank you. Manufacturing enterprises. Now let's talk about the micro companies inside manufacturing. Okay. A micro enterprise generally refers to a small business employing 5 people or less. Mhm. It is an enterprise in which investments in plant and machinery are rather low. Here's are between low. It's are rather low. These enterprises work and operate not by choice, but out of necessity. It will be hard to say, okay, here in my house, we are 4 people. Okay. So it's hard for me to say we will all work in a bakery from now on. If we all had a job, it would be difficult for someone to quit their job and then come and work at the bakery unless we are in a necessity. So we don't have a job. We don't have money. We need to pay for the utility bills. Who's going to pay for electricity, water, cable, internet, food, let alone mortgage of the house? So most of the micro manufacturing enterprises work out of necessity. And usually they have 5 people or less. Mhm. If we jump into the small enterprise generally refers to a business employing from 6 to 25, right? We're growing a little bit. It is an enterprise in which investments in plant and machinery are growing. These companies work and operate to earn a small amount of profit. And actually, it's more than 25. Let me see what I put on medium. Yeah, these numbers, you should follow the ones I put here. Small manufacturing from 6 or 5 to 75, and then the medium from 75 to 200. You follow the numbers I put here. You see? It should be 75 here. Thank you, Gabo. Danny? Amanda Rojas. Thank you very much. I'm calling her right now. It's ringing. She's online because she's in green status. Yeah, it keeps ringing. Okay. Um, it is an enterprise in which investments in plant and machinery are growing, and these companies work and operate to earn a small amount of profit. Okay. The micro, they don't really make a profit. They're actually surviving. Esa es la micro, surviving. The small company, they're growing and they're making a little amount of profit. Okay. That's the difference. The micro, they're surviving. Now we jump into the medium enterprise. Okay. Remember, we're talking about manufacturing companies. Medium enterprise refers to a business employing maximum to 100. The number I put here was 200. Thank you. 200. I don't know why I did it that way. It is an enterprise in which investments in plant and machinery are now considered important. Their loans are more considerable. What is the meaning of a loan? Yes. So the amount of money required from the bank, from, I don't know, any government assistance, money you have to return is more considerable now. Okay? You're probably obtaining your capital from loans. Mhm. These enterprises work and operate to earn a fair amount of profits to increase their standard of living. Y ahora sí, ya no es ni surviving ni a small amount of profit. It's ya fair amount, ya es una platica, right? We're talking about more money now. Those are the medium enterprises. They're able to reinvest in their own companies. They're able to redirect. Now, let's go now with the service companies. We were talking about manufacturing. Remember, the numbers should match the ones shown on the chart below. Micro, you didn't have information, but we're talking about less than 5. Remember, service companies are smaller. They don't really grow to the levels of, I don't know, those pinos or something that is so large. Okay, service companies remain little most of the times. Small enterprise from 5 to 10. Let's go to a chart. Small from 5 to 30. Let's correct that right away. It's faster to do it right. The micro is fine. This is from 75. Then the medium is maximum 200. And here is 30. 30 to 75. Good. Okay. The rest is fine. I don't know why I did it that way. Small enterprise in service is from 5 to 30, and medium is from 30 to 75. Okay. Now let's go back to the manufacturing SMEs. They have low cost of production. Remember, we're talking about not large companies, but actually small. Think of a bakery. Think of a family business, something that they create products, but it's very few people working. Yes, I I think I am. Apparently, I'm not. Here I was talking and talking, and you were not saying nothing. Are you seeing it now? Yes, I see the red chart. To you, I saw some raised hands when I was sharing. Was it the thing that I wasn't sharing? Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, with the SMEs, manufacturing SMEs, remember we're talking about, think of a bakery, think of a, I don't know, let's say in your house you had um, very little money and none of you are employed. So, you decide to invest and buy a machine. And you're going to buy a what type of machine? Oh, this machine that makes glasses and cups and hats and una máquina de serigrafía. I don't know the correct name of that machine, not even in Spanish. It's one of those machines that you can make llaveros and stuff. So you find a company here in Cartago that sells it. It's actually near Los Bomberos. It's very close to that company. You save your money all together, invest, put it all together, go there, buy it. They train you, and you start selling these products because all of you are unemployed. So you invest. And because you are not really paying employees, because you're not paying salaries, all the money you make in your house will be for electricity, water, internet, food, utilities and food. So you have a low cost of production because you're not really paying for the rent of the local. You're not paying for a rent. You're not paying for taxes. You're not paying for a patent to the municipalidad. So you have very little cost of production. You have high capacity to innovate exports, high employment generation. If you decide that it's growing and it happens to be that it is actually responding and you are selling, son buenos, and people are coming to buy stuff. And I don't know, you find a contract with a high school and they need to buy, I don't know, like merchandise products for them. Let's say pen. There are some pen and pencils they want to buy from you with the name of Coao there. Y ustedes son los ganadores de esa licitación. So um, you get good money out of it. So you start hiring more people because you are insufficient. You require more people to help you. Reduction of regional imbalance and greater flexibility. Those are the characteristics of manufacturing SMEs. Okay, questions here? Nope. Okay. What is the role of SMEs in Costa Rica? The SMEs are employment generators. They increase production, they contribute to exports, and they increase the gross domestic product, which is the numbers in which Costa Rica's economy is based. Okay? You don't see GDPs in tenth, but I'll explain a little bit of GDP later because we are in the section of economy, so you get to understand what a GDP is. For example, have you ever asked for a loan, or has anyone in your home asked for a loan into a bank? You have to unmute and tell me because I'm not seeing hands. Anyone? Nope. Good. Now, when you go and request a loan, te hacen un estudio, right? Okay. Why? Why do you think they do that? Can you think of a reason why they would go into your private things? Good, good, good job. Yes. And they go check your, we call it in Spanish, la calificación de la SUJEF. Do you know what that is? Excellent. It's a credit record. La calificación de la SUJEF. SUJEF manages and supervises all the financial institutions in this country. If you owe money to Banco Nacional, Popular will know because, let's say, the manager of all the financial institutions is just one, whether private or public, it's the same thing. They will all know. So SUJEF will have you on a list. If you owe money to Banco Nacional, Popular will be able to know through SUJEF. Okay? SUJEF will have your record, your credit record, and say, okay, Sutanito de tal le debe dinero al Banco Nacional, moroso en estado tal, tantos meses, cobro judicial. That's your file. And when you go ask for money to Banco Popular, they will pull up that record and they will see that you're a bad creditor. You're a bad business. Okay, so they will show that your record is not one. One is a number you desire to know. If you or any member of your family wishes to know what their number is, you can go to SUJEF. SUJEF is located in San Jose. In this pandemic time, I'm not sure if they're actually receiving people, but before pandemic situations, you could just go to San Jose and it's near La Catedral. So you would go there. There's a security officer at the entrance. You show him your ID and he will leave. Bye. You won't see him for 30 minutes and he will come back with a paper. You just say, I would like to know my credit score and he will leave with your ID. He'll come back 30 minutes later with a paper, and the paper will say just like very little information and a number, and it'll show one or any other number. Okay? If you're a one, you're safe. It means you're clean, or whatever loan you have, you pay. So you're clean. Just like the companies can see you, you can see yourselves. Just yourself. You cannot see other people, right? Because you're not a financial institution. Someone just arrived. I heard the ringtone. Who has arrived? Amanda. Amanda has arrived. Welcome home, Amanda. Now, with this information, the country, the same way you as a person have a rate, the country also has a rate, okay? The GDP comes from, do you know a country can buy from other countries? Yes or no? Did you know a country can buy things from other countries? What is that called? It has a name. The other one. Imports. Uh-huh. Imports. Good, good. When we buy something, it's because we, en español, cuando usted lo compra, a usted le importa. ¿Ok? That's why you buy it, para que lo asocien y lo aprendan. Cuando usted trae algo es porque a usted le importa, right? So you make an import. When you sell something, right? When you send something away, you're exporting. Just like you break up with your ex, y al ex usted le dice adiós. Okay, same thing. You sell something, you are sending it away, so it's an export. You won't forget after this. Okay? So that's how it works. If a country buys more, pay attention. If a country buys more than it sells, the numbers are looking bad. It's the same thing like in your case. If you buy, you go to, I don't know, a store, you go to Paseo Metrópoli and you buy more than you sell, usted está mal, right? Because you're spending a lot of money. You're buying and buying more than you sell. So you're not getting the money, but el señor sigue comprando y va tarjetazo, tarjetazo, right? Those numbers look bad in a country. Okay? We have a deficit, which means we are making money. Yeah, we're making money. We're selling things, but we're spending more. So our GDP is looking bad. La balanza is wrong, right? Because we are trying and getting things that we cannot pay. The opposite happens when a country is able to sell and sell and sell, and we buy little. So we have more money. Porque todo lo que vendemos nos entra en dinero. And we buy very little. Entonces siempre nos queda dinero, right? So that is the opposite. Okay? Do we understand? Okay. So what is the role of the SMEs in this explanation? SMEs may export things. What if I created, like one of my former students, I always make you create a product. And last year, he created a product he called pen pencil. So it was a pen from one side and a pencil from the other. So Victor had this idea and he created a pen pencil and he presented it in front of the class. And let's say, for example, he were to export that product. Okay. So not only Victor makes money, but also the country makes money, right? What about the taxes? So we're going to make money for the country. And those numbers look good in the GDP. Okay? That's what GDP is. We are trying to make a combination of the imports and exports that look good in the country. Okay? Problems of manufacturing SMEs. There are many problems there. Financial problem. Credit facility only up to 30%. You cannot just go to Bac San Jose and say, listen, I have a case. I have a client. He's one of my clients. I make accounting for some clients, private clients, and he has an idea. He has a great idea. He wants to become independent and have his own company and employ people and employ businesses, and he has a great idea. I cannot share it with you because it hasn't been finished, so I cannot really share. But he has a great idea. He requires, I think it was like 80 million colones. It's a lot of money. He requires that in order to start. Okay. Pero he goes into the banks and he says, I have an idea and I need 80 million colones. And guess what? Por donde entró salió, right? Because he is an entrepreneur. He has an idea. We have the documents. I helped him build all the feasibility projects, all the studies required to prove it is going to work. I actually corrected some of his idea because some of it was not going to work. So I changed it so it will be feasible and he could actually produce. But it's hard because nobody's going to give him 80 million colones just for an idea, right? Even though you may have documents. So he has faced rejection after rejection after rejection. It's been hard for him because there's no credit facility. Okay. Raw material. Raw material needs to be cheap and easy to find. Do you know the meaning of raw material? Yes, exactly. The raw material is material that requires evolving, requires some treatment and procedure in order to become the final product. Okay. The manufacturing SMEs also face technological problems, like we discussed before, and marketing strategies. Normally, because they're so busy producing, it's hard for them to have a department of marketing and I don't know, a Facebook representative that is going to oversee all the social networks and make promotions on Instagram and Facebook. You need a person doing that. You need a person sitting in front of a computer or a phone moviendo redes sociales. You need someone, right? So marketing strategies is also hard for the manufacturing SMEs. Now, suggestions for improvement. Technology update. Surveys to improve their service or product. Do you know the meaning of survey? Nope. Okay. A survey is una encuesta. Yes. Surveys to improve their service or product. Like when you sell something, how about a form asking the client, how was it? Okay. The follow up after the sale. It's very important. Talent acquisition is also a suggestion. Involve the entire company. Interaction with research and development sector. These are some suggestions for improvement, but there are some of them that require help from the government, from the society as well. Okay. Contribution and performance of medium SMEs. The medium SMEs, now we're growing into the manufacturing section. Okay, here we are in the manufacturing portion. They produce more combined than in this. Let me finish this. They produce more. Are you able to see my screen? No. Okay. They produce more combined than large companies do. Okay. Muchas pequeñas or muchas medium and manufacturing will do more than a large company. Okay. 1 second. Thank you. They represent 45% of the industrial production. Thank you. After talking so much, then that happens to the voice. 45% of the industrial production, 10% of the exports, and millions of employment, all combined, all the manufacturing SMEs. Now, these are some Costa Rican loans available for SMEs before the pandemic. And actually, I don't know, about 3 months ago, I went online and it was the same number. So I don't know if it has changed here on February, but last year it was the same. So these are some examples of Programa de Impulso al Sector Productivo for Costa Rica. Banca para el Desarrollo would give you 22 million colon. It's actually 22 billones. It's 22,000 million colones at 6.30% is the actual rate they would give you money. Banca para el Desarrollo usually gives you money if you comply with several requirements. You cannot just jump in and say, I want one of those loans, ¿verdad? It doesn't really work like that. They're going to divide that amount of money between the suitors. It's like the total es el tamaño de la bolsa total, and they're going to split it into the amount of people requiring for the loan. How much money will they give you? Depending on the study they do of your idea, of your project. Normally, they're given to projects that are already on the go, something that it's already moving. So you can prove with cash flows how much money you make. It is valid. They don't really support ideas, but they have several forms to fill in. If you apply, you might get some of that money. Okay, that's not for one person. That's a total for all the suitors that apply. Hipotecas is mortgages. Okay, and this is from back Credomatic. So hipotecas, right? This is 40 million colones, and these are the rates, or these were the rates. 8.20, and they were proposing that if you are an SME, instead of paying 8.20, you would pay 7% when it is a dollar rate. So it's like giving you a free pass or a discount card. If you're an SME approved by Procomer, very important. An SME approved by Procomer, you might get a discount on the interest rates. Préstamo prendario y leasing for cars. This will be the total amount, and these are the rates. Pymes, capital de trabajo, pymes productivo, and pymes inversión has this amount to distribute, and these are the rates. So they actually are a bit lower. You see from 15 to 8, from 17 to 9, from 17 to 10. It changes a little. Now, this is a pie chart of how the SMEs work in Costa Rica or how they looked before the pandemic. You see, the micro is the largest number for SMEs, which is you and your family, you and your friends, just less than 5 people. They are the largest. Then followed by the mediana. The medium one is the second largest, and the small one is the third. Number of employment generation in manufacturing SME. Employment. Number of employment generation in manufacturing SMEs. Generación de empleos de las pymes por sector back in 2012. So it's like how many jobs are these companies providing to the country? That's how you should interpret this pie chart. Okay. This type of circle we call a pie chart because it's like a pie. Okay. So the number of jobs provided is being given the most by the service industry. Okay. 39% of the jobs that are thanks to the SMEs come from services. That's how you should interpret this. The second largest is comercio, followed by industria and ending in otros, technology in this case. Okay? Probably after the pandemic, technology has increased the number. Now, these other pie charts are being interpreted on the sector of the manufacturing SMEs, their sizes, and how many of them export in the country. For example, let's look at the first chart. Empresas exportadoras encuestadas, they were 82. Out of those 82 are manufacturing SMEs that are exporting, okay? That's how you should interpret. Manufacturing SMEs that are exporting, okay? So micro, 3.7 of the 82 is exporting. And then pequeña, 20.7 of the 82 is exporting. Medianas and large ones, okay? Now look at this number. 82 is a very small number for it to be representative of the whole country. That's why they should always give you the N. The N is very important. That's the total of companies that were surveyed. Población total de empresas exportadoras costarricenses. So then again, based on those 82, micro is the 23% of all the manufacturing SMEs. Look at the colors. They're not matching. The red one is pymes, which is the small ones, and large one here is orange and here is purple, but it should be purple. So the large ones are 20%. So the large number comes from SMEs, right? You see, it's a very large number that contributes to the country. That's why the government should encourage them to become formal. But it's very hard for a company to become formal if they have to pay so much and they're just struggling to survive, most of them. Okay. Now, where do they get support? These SMEs. These are how they replied. Okay. Apoyo del gobierno, out of the 82 that I showed you before, 44 say, well, the government helps me. Okay. That becomes a 22%. 66 said, I receive support from the private company. It might be publicity, sponsorship, right? And that becomes a 33% here. And 90 of them said, nobody helps me. Okay, that is the 45%. We're doing it by our own. Tasas de intereses que les han brindado. So they say, I've been asking for a loan and I have been told interest rates from 5 to 10. Those were 102 companies, okay? That is 51% of the population. I was told from 11 to 15, 21%. I was told more than 15, 28%. You see? It's not standard. They have asked many places. Now here we can see the expectations from Procomer information back in 2008 when the industry was totally different. So where are the SMEs exporting to? Which countries are they exporting to? Back in 2008, they were exporting the most to Central America, 37%, followed by USA, and then the Unión Europea, which is the now we have a separation there, but it was the Unión Europea back then. Otros, 12%, and Caribe, 7%. Okay. Now these numbers are from the information before the pandemic. It was about a year ago. So the unemployment, for example, we are in this region, the central region. We used to have a 9.4% of unemployment of the whole country. So it means that in this sector, 9.4% of all this sector was unemployed. Now it's bigger than that. The whole country is bigger than that. Okay. Do you have questions so far? I will. Yes, sir. I will upload this information into resources in Cloud Campus. Definitely. No more questions? These are some of the names that support the SMEs. Expopime is very well known, very well broadcasted in the country. It talks about having SMEs coming and exposing their projects, their products, their services, their brochures, information. Have you ever been to an expo, like a Feria de Empleo or a sales, car sales expo, or whatever type of expo? Have you ever been to one? Nope. Yes. They are aligned cubículo, 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 one after the other, so that people can see the products that they are producing, promoting, right? You can get to see the products. People arrive and they walk. They walk through the posts and they're able to receive information, brochures, samples, free samples they can buy. Es como una forma de ayudar a que hagan contactos. So Expopime is being promoted by these companies. Okay. It goes on TV. You get, before the pandemic, of course, you get promotion, advertisement, anuncios, radio, televisión, and you make sure that many people will go and your company might be in one of those spots. Okay. Again, you can only be there if you are either with Procomer or ahora Banco Nacional has a Mi Pyme section. So those are the only ways you can jump into the expo. It's not like, ay, van a hacer una expo, voy a ir a hacer mi cubículo para vender mis productos. No, you have to be affiliated to this type of situation so that they let you in. Okay. These are sometimes some types of sellos or distintivos that the pymes in this country receive, right? Based on, well, it depends on the sectors they're actually applying to. Sello Pyme Calidad. You get this sello only if you comply with these norms. You get Verde, Sello Pyme Verde, if you comply with these others. Sello Pyme RSE if you comply with responsabilidad social empresarial, which is this one, and you get the artesanal if you comply with these norms, okay? And see this one, y el reconocimiento de que los productos son artesanales según los criterios de la UNESCO para la artesanía verificado por la DGPYME. So it's not like you can just Google this type of pictures and put it into your products. No, you have to earn it. Tiene que ganárselo, right? It's not that simple, okay? It's like Costa Rica Verde or Esencial Costa Rica. I know you've seen it everywhere. You have to earn it. You cannot just copy it and put it into your product. Questions? Nope. Okay. This is an example of one of the trainings that pymes receive. El Ministerio de Economía, Industria y Comercio y el Ministerio de Salud le invitan a la charla Trámites ante el Ministerio de Salud para abrir y operar un negocio. So this was an example of a training being coordinated by the Ministry of Economy and the Ministry of Health, trying to make people understand how to process. For example, do you remember I told you I worked for Hacienda? Did I ever tell you? Yes? No? Okay. I worked for Ministerio de Hacienda. I worked there for several years, and I remember so well. In Hacienda, people have to go, well, in the past, people had to go to Hacienda to enroll into the tax reform. So there was no IVA back then, but we had renta and we had venta, and then we had régimen simplificado and régimen tradicional. So if you have a company, you need to go to enroll. Now you can do it online, but in the past you had to go make a line, fill in the forms, and provide all the documentation so that you could enroll. Once you had that, you could go to La Municipalidad and get a patent. It was back then a requirement. First go to Hacienda and then go to la municipalidad. La municipalidad won't give you a patent, no le va a dar una patente, a menos de que ya usted esté inscrito en Hacienda y en el Ministerio de Salud. Okay? Those are the requirements before la municipalidad. So, en la municipalidad le decían a la gente, váyase para el Ministerio de Salud. Ministerio de Salud would tell people, váyase para Hacienda, right? And then we were the very first ones. Hasta que no pasaran por Hacienda, no podían ir al de salud y por ende no podían luego ir a la municipalidad. Imagine you are a small company trying to open, trying to start. Va a la muni y le dicen eso. Va al de salud, le dicen eso. By the time they arrived to me in Hacienda, they were already angry, right? So there I was, smiling to people, and someone would come in angry. I knew that person has spent the whole day making lines to be told go somewhere else. Okay? So there are many transactions and there is a large bureaucracy that people have to follow, and nobody tells you that. You don't know the process, right? In my personal opinion, there should be just one place where you could go and get it all done, or one page where you could go and set it all at the same time online, right? We're trying to evolve into that. And yes, Hacienda was the very first place. So thank God I didn't have to send them anywhere else. I could tell them, yes, I am the first. Once you finish with me, don't go to la municipalidad. You go to the Ministry of Health and then la municipalidad. The municipalidad was the step number 3. But there were no trainings, capacitaciones back then, so people didn't really know how to do stuff. So they started making this type of connections in order to explain people what is it they had to do. Okay? Questions? No? Okay. This is another example on a training that Ina also makes for people. In this case, they were teaching them puntos de equilibrio, toma de decisiones, técnicas de presupuesto, formulación de estados financieros, interpretación de la información financiera, controles contables y financieros. They would be graduated as a technician. This is for free. Okay, this is for free. The requisitos: older than 15 years old, haber aprobado el sexto grado, cédula de identidad o residencia al día, y hacer una fila, sacar una boleta y pedirle a Dios ser seleccionado. That's basically what you're required to do. And this is the amount of time they had to study. This was the schedule and the place where it was going to be taught. Okay. These are examples on how the government tries to help pymes, but it's not well advertised. I found this information because I know about it. But the idea is to reach people who do not know about it. Like many people don't know they're a pyme. Many people don't know they're an SME. So if they don't know the term, the name, how would they Google it? Do I explain myself? Okay. Now, awesome. So now this is some information I obtained from Back Credomatics page. I found PYME, motor del crecimiento económico inclusivo en la región, and some information about how they help pymes back since 2008. Since back in 2008, and this is the amount of clients they had helped at the year of 2016. This is something they show in their page, so I got it from there and I brought it here. Now, this is the example again, pre-pandemic, on distribución de clientes PYME por país. So if you are a Costa Rican SME, where would you sell the most? So of course, the main one is here in the same country without exporting. The second one will be Guatemala, followed by Honduras, then Nicaragua, El Salvador, and lastly, Panama. Curiosamente, even though we are right next to each other, Panama is very independent and doesn't necessarily buy from Costa Rica. Panama buys electricity from Costa Rica. Did you know that? Interesting, right? Panama buys electricity from us because we generate so much that we have electricity for us and we can sell to other countries. We can sell electricity. I was actually once in, where was I at that time? I think Honduras. I don't remember what country I was in. And I remember I went into a supermarket and I found products Dos Pinos. I was amazed. I had no idea. I was 16 or 17 years old. I don't remember. I was about your age, and then I jumped into a supermarket and I found Productos Dos Pinos. And I was amazed to know that a company from my country was exporting to another one. I don't remember where I was at that time either, because I've been in all of them, so I don't remember where I was. They export. Yes. Tell me. Really? It makes total sense. Of course, they're translating the amount of money of the exports into the product, so people cannot afford it. That's interesting. Then para qué? If people are not going to be able to buy it. And is the taste different? Mm-hmm. Interesting. You see, I appreciate you telling us that information because otherwise we wouldn't know if we hadn't had a perspective from another countries. I appreciate it. And that's true. And actually, in Costa Rica, many of the diseases we show are for abuse of sugar and salt. Abuse of sugar and salt, sugar and salt. You hear people saying that they don't like the food from the hospital. And do you know what that is? Why? Because at the hospital they cook with very little salt. with the amount of salt you're supposed to eat every day. And so that's why people say, I don't like la comida al hospital, sabe fea. That's not true. It's because at home you cook with so much salt that you actually taste that one as if it was tasteless. And it's actually because of the amount of food. In my house, for example, I cook with very little salt. So I adore the food in the hospital. It's like having a delicious buffet prepared because it's pretty much the same amount of salt I use. So that's why the taste is good for me because I don't tell the difference. But for someone who like my grandpa, I don't know, he uses a pint of salt every time he cooks. So of course for him it would be not delicious for him. Now, these other, I got it from, oh, the same one, Credomatic, and they were talking about the amount of credits they have granted to pymes or SMEs all around the countries they have establishments. Okay, so it's just numbers that I brought from that page for you to realize it's a thing. SMEs is a thing. It's a name. It's a going thing, and they are actually the backbone of whatever country. How many Intels does a country have? Barely one. How many pymes does a country have? So add them all up together and you'll find that pymes give more employments to a country than a large company does. Now this other one I got it from online, of course. It says Gráfico uno, distribución del empleo total según tamaño. From these years, 2012 and 2013. So we can see the amount of employments being granted by these types of companies. Back in 2012, the employment was granted like this. Large companies were providing 66% of the employment back then, followed by the SMEs, and then PIMPA is pequeña y mediana empresa. It's pretty much the same as a pyme. Well, in combination, these two combined, and then any other. Okay. In 2013, the following year, they behaved precisely the same way, just a little bit more on the large companies. Again, these years are very different from what they look like right now. Okay. This is the add-in I did last year. Remember, I just told you that Banco Nacional is making some training for the SMEs? Okay, so mm, Banco Nacional has this page called Nidux, and I have this training for you recorded porque I agreed, we set up un convenio for Banco Nacional to give me that training for my students last year, y yo lo grabé. For the rest of the students. You need to know what benefits this company has. It's amazing, all the benefits they have. They give you the web page, they give you the asesoramiento, acompañamiento. They allow you to have like a marketplace where people can pay with debit and credit cards. It's amazing. This is a video. Let me go to that video. This one. You see, that is the video they are showing for their product, Nilux, and it is a very good company. Actually, I have the training and I will play it later on because you need to understand that if you make earrings, if you, I don't know, you want to sell whatever product you have or your family has or your mom wants to do, it's a good way to help them grow without actually waiting for you to graduate for next year. Okay? In this case, they show us this information, right, on how they have helped companies and how it benefits to be registered with them. The benefits, the requisitos, part of them, the forms, how to enroll physically instead of online, and how it was working for the companies last year on 2020, right? That it was virtually everything had to be done online because of the pandemic. Okay. And that will conclude my presentation. Do you happen to have any question about SMEs? No questions? Okay. I'll conclude the video here.